You are now listening to a member of the Disney Podcast family. Head over to Disney Podcast Family on Instagram to see all the latest posts for this show and links to other great Disney podcasts.
So today on Miles from Main Street,
everybody loves this show.
Well, see, if we could go back in time to the 20-year-old me.
It's Nosies Toesies Moose.
And I would ride Living with the Land until they had to shut the lights off.
Sing along to the song at the top of our lungs.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejados de las
This here's a wild ride in the Westcot.
When hinges squeak and doors change.
We are talking what ride you'd jump on a plane and ride one more time if Disney decided to close it.
We're looking at Splash Mountain having just closed, right? And it closed on both coasts. So it was one of those that you had to kind of run out and ride it one last time. And that's kind of where this, I think, is coming from, is that we need to think about that. What ride are we going to go on? But we're going to hit all four parks. One ride from each park or attraction, shows and parades and all that good stuff is up for grabs. But before we do, make sure you go out and leave us a review and tell somebody about the show.
Yeah, and Brian, I think you're forgetting about a ride that just was recently announced that is going to be closing. It's not a ride, it's a show. Of course, I knew people were going to yell at me for that. But it's like a huge ride. Like everybody loves this ride.
You're going to keep calling it a ride too, aren't you?
Everybody loves this show.
Okay, so I was watching
it's a
great
live
stream
show
today, and
it's such a good show.
Tanya was there, and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's so cool." I had forgotten that they had announced they're going to change it. Of course, it's Country Bears.
Bear Jamboree.
Yes. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I really want to go see that on the next trip. And then like 2 hours later, they announced that it's closing January 27th.
Mm-hmm. So we're getting on a plane tomorrow. And we're No, this is definitely. I was saying that like that ride is kind of like pretty low on my totem, maybe the lowest on the totem pole for like.
What about Barnstormer?
I mean, that's like a roller coaster that you can go on. I feel like I would ride.
Yeah,
Barnstormer
that's an actual ride.
I would ride Barnstormer before I go to
Country Bear
Jamboree.
Country Bears is just like so interestingly entertaining,
and I think that's probably why they're changing it because of all of the interesting things that happen during that show.
So that you don't sit there going, what the hell am I watching?
Yes, exactly.
I mean, we tried to see it on our last trip, but what were they doing with it? It was like,
oh no, it had closed. Remember that? Yeah, like we were trying to hit it towards the end of the night and it had already closed.
Well, I thought it was during the day. We were like, oh, let's do this, and it was like 7 or something.
Yeah, it was fairly early.
Anywho, we missed it.
We did.
Back in 2017, Tammy and I got to take a trip by ourselves, and I had never done the likes of Country Bears, the Tiki Room that I remember, and Carousel of Progress. So we made a point of doing those when we were there, and Country Bears I found to be hilarious and fun. Tiki Room was good. And then Carousel of Progress, it was kind of like it progressively got worse as we went on. And so I enjoy all of them. But like you said, I think this is at kind of near the bottom of the list of something I would jump on a plane for.
Yeah. But that's what we're going to talk about today is what we all feel like is at the top of our list. that if Disney decided to close it, we would need to jump on a plane and go ride it one last time.
So who wants to start?
Well, we're going to start in Magic Kingdom, and I think Brian is going to start.
It's Nosies, Toesies, Moose.
Yeah.
I didn't see any Toesies or Moose from you guys, so Magic Kingdom. We've talked about if it was on both coasts, what would you do? I'm glad to know that Big Thunder would be available on another coast if it closed in one spot, but Splash Mountain was closed at the same time. So I'm going to throw this out there. It's Big Thunder for me at Magic Kingdom if they close it on both coasts.
And it's interesting, Brian, that you bring up the both coasts, because probably the best Big Thunder Mountain is in a different country. So would you then, like, what is that a factor in your decision, that like there is a really good Big Thunder Mountain still out there that I could ride, but it's just in a different country?
I mean, yeah, that's a thing. I guess I'm just including where I've been within the country. I'm not going to consider getting overseas because overseas travel is a little bit more difficult, and so I'll just leave it at that.
At that point, it's would you sit in a plane for 24 hours to ride Big Thunder?
I mean,
Mountain?
right? Like, because like if they close something here, you can jump on a plane and be there in 3 to 4 hours, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's a 12-hour plane ride maybe to a certain spot. So, I'm going to go with Big Thunder Mountain within Magic Kingdom. So if it's a both coast thing, that's Big Thunder for me. But if it's going to be something else, I actually may consider Carousel of Progress on my list because there's so much historic value there. I don't foresee them ever closing it, but it is an old ride.
It could break down.
I've thought that about the teacups. What's holding the teacups together?
12 layers of paint.
Yeah, but that makes a lot of sense with its historical value, and I mean it's something that Walt worked on. It was a passion project for Walt, and it was part of the World's Fair when he worked on it. So yeah, I get that. That's pretty cool. I feel like, I don't know if I would do that, but I understand kind of where you're coming from.
Okay, so when this question first came up, I immediately went to It's a Small World, but that's why I asked if it was both coast or not, because I thought, well, I could go ride it at Disneyland, and I think Disneyland's is better. So you guys are gonna think I'm weird, but mine is actually Dumbo.
Oh, I can see that.
It has a lot of memories for me from the first time I went riding it with my grandpa, and so yeah, that's just Small World is one I always have to get on, and Dumbo we don't always get on, but it's one that I like to go ride if we get the chance to.
Can you imagine Dumbo with a 4-hour wait?
Oh, right. Could you imagine all of the adults trying to hang out in like the child play area?
That'd be something.
Yeah, my thought, I guess, is instead of like my favorite ride, which would be Haunted Mansion or Big Thunder, I went to something that like really screams Disney to me, which is Dumbo and Small World. So
this is a hard park because there's so many copycats across both parks.
That's very true. Yeah. I guess for me, I have two also, and my two are obviously Haunted Mansion because it's my favorite ride just in general. But then also Pirates of the Caribbean, also because of like that ride has always been really special to me and my family. That has always been when I was young and we would go as a family. That was always the ride we would go to first. Like we would always go left. We would always get on Pirates of the Caribbean right away. So yeah, and then that's another thing where it's like, I mean, it's hard because I would say if it was closing in Disney World, I probably still would get on a plane to go ride it. But there's a better version out at Disneyland. So it's kind of a tough one, but I feel like still just with the nostalgia of like family and stuff like that, I still probably would get on a plane and go try to ride it one more time.
Well, I feel like I would probably also say Haunted Mansion. I feel like I would plant my butt in that Doom buggy and they would have to tear me out. That would be if it was closing at both parks. Like that would be the ride. But like a ride that's not at both parks, I feel like maybe the People Mover.
That's a good one.
Like I feel like that I would probably ride, or I'd fly down to try to ride that.
Yeah.
Just because it's. I mean, you can't ride it at Disneyland anymore.
That's a good point.
I had thought about that one as well. It's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. So we've got Magic Kingdom out of the way. Where do we want to go next? Epcot? I would get on a plane. I would buy the ticket would probably be expensive. I would buy a ticket. I would get on a plane, and I would ride Living with the Land until they had to shut the lights off.
That's actually where I was headed, and I was considering if something like, yeah, that's actually where I was headed to, because I was considering Guardians. Guardians are pretty good. Spaceship Earth I do enjoy. I have some good memories there. But Living with the Land is the one that I think we would have to jump on a plane.
And it's so my thought. I would technically like have 3 because all the ones that you just said, Guardians and Spaceship Earth. Spaceship Earth, if they got rid of that one, I would definitely try to go ride it again. But the top of my list is Living with the Land. And I mean, Guardians is in there. Obviously, that's unrealistic because Guardians is going to be around forever because it's like the best ride Disney's ever made. But
and it's hard to fathom them closing it. They just opened it, right?
Yeah. So, but that just in how good that ride is and how much we love it, that's high on the list. So,
I think I'm also going with Living with the Land. And my thought process with that is I feel like Spaceship Earth is like threatening like a change or like an addition or a revamp. Probably. Like I feel like they can't close the ride. Like it's a whole.
It's an icon.
What else would you do with it exactly? Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be wasted space.
Yeah.
Well, they'd have to do something, right? Like this would be like a movie ride to Runaway Railway type of thing. But I think Spaceship Earth does deserve a spot. How about you, Tammy?
Yeah, it can have a spot on yours. I hate that ride. I'm using my imagination and going to Journey of Imagination.
Ooh.
Which it's been on the chopping block for a while.
Yeah. You're going to have to get on a plane.
I know.
Yeah.
And again, for me, it was a ride I remember going on when we were younger, and we would sing along to the song at the top of our lungs.
So you remember the original?
Sort of. I mean, I was young, so.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do love that ride.
I always feel bad when people are like, oh my God, Dreamfinder was so great. And like the original Figment ride was so cool. And I'm always like, yeah.
It was a little out there.
I never experienced any of that.
You can watch the ride through on YouTube.
Might have to go check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, Figment is here to stay, but I do feel like, yeah, what you guys said, the ride is on the chopping block to like maybe be revamped. at some point.
And I feel like they would revamp it to Figment, but it wouldn't be what that ride is now.
Well, because when they
No.
redid it, like they did not do it the greatest.
Yeah, and everybody got all angry about that, and then they changed it to what it is now, which is, I guess, like version 3, really.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And wasn't that they didn't have any Figment at all? Like they took out Figment and Dreamfinder, and they got mad, and then they added Figment back in, and made him a part of the ride. I can't remember.
Could be. I've just been sitting here thinking that they're making Figment such a big piece of the marketing and of, like he's the focal point, the big character for Festival of the Arts coming up, and I don't know that they want to take away what he's a part of and still try to push him as a character. But as I say that, I'm also thinking of Spike the Bee for Flower and Garden, where he's on a lot of merch. He's used as the scavenger hunt character, and yet I know he's from a Donald Duck cartoon, and that's about it. So
It's true.
I mean, they could go forth with Figment just as, because he's been on a lot of pass holder stuff. So maybe he just goes on as a nostalgic character and they throw Inside Out or whatever they decide to do into the Imagination Pavilion.
I was kind of hoping that was going to happen with a lot of the Song of the South characters in Magic Kingdom, that like they would keep Zippity Doo-Dah like on the rotation of songs that they play on Main Street, and they'd keep those characters around just because like the characters are ingrained in Magic Kingdom. But I feel like they haven't done that.
No, I have a feeling they're just going to chop it off right now and be done with Song of the South, never to speak of it again.
Yeah. Sadly, there's just too much controversy surrounding it.
Yeah.
So 3 for Living with the Land and 1 for Figment.
And 1 for Figment, yeah.
So I guess we'll just keep going chronologically. How about Hollywood Studios, or as some of us like to call it, MGM? Am I going first again?
Yes, Brian's
guys?
going first.
My goodness.
I don't know what my answer is for this one.
Mine Star Wars.
Well, yes, it has to be. Rise of the Resistance, I think, has to be the top of my list. Followed closely, not by Millennium Falcon, believe it or not, but Mickey and Minnie's.
Wow.
That's not surprising to me.
Yeah, I 100%. Yeah, I get it. Knowing Brian.
Yep.
I love the Falcon. Rise is probably, my favorite back there. Mm-hmm. I wish it wasn't within the sequel trilogy, but it's what we've got. And Mickey and Minnie is such a great, fun ride. It was such a surprise when I wrote it. Like, there's so much going on. But being the Star Wars fan I am, I have to take Rise first.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So for me at this, I don't have 2. I have 1, and it's Tower of Terror. It's Tower of Terror pretty easily for me. And that's honestly, besides Haunted Mansion, that's probably the next one where, and it's gotten close before. There's been rumors because they made it Guardians of the Galaxy in Disneyland in California Adventure. So there's a possibility that they could do that to Tower of Terror in Hollywood Studios. So that one, I think for me, is the one that is most likely to happen. And without question, I would be getting on a plane and going to ride that ride.
I can see that. I knew you would say that as well because of all the conversations we've had around it.
Yeah.
Here's me completely speculating, but they opened Star Wars Hotel and it didn't do very well. Like they're going back to the drawing board with it. They're not killing the idea completely. But the Tower of Terror was originally planned as a hotel, a working hotel that people would stay in. That was the original live-in hotel type of, or live your dream hotel, or whatever you want to call it. So it makes you wonder, like, maybe they held off on any changes or ideas of changes to that until they could see what the Star Wars hotel did. And now that they're kind of back to the drawing board with it, maybe they continue holding on to that idea for Tower of Terror. And so it, I know they've been having a lot of trouble with it. What was it, 6 months that they were only running one side of it?
Yeah.
This past year. So, there is always that chance that they say we're done. You're also getting to a point, just like Rock and Roller Coaster, where the IP doesn't hold up anymore. Nobody knows what Twilight Zone is anymore. Kids these days.
Yeah. Yeah, that is something that I've thought of before, and I think with their troubles with their Star Wars hotel and kind of the location, it's, I guess it's just tough to like see like what they might be doing with something like that. And it's funny. They always say in Imagineering, no good idea is ever forgotten. And this idea of a hotel in a park actually came from Tony Baxter when he was doing Westcot. So at Westcot, they were supposed to have hotels. If you don't know what Westcot is, Westcot was supposed to be the West Coast Epcot, and it was going to have like countries portion in it, and on top of the countries, there were going to be little hotels that you could stay in. And the idea was that like you could wake up in the morning and go down to like the streets of the world and go like have a croissant or whatever. And that was your morning. You were able to just stay in the parks. So that was an idea that actually came from Tony Baxter. And I just feel like they've been trying to shoehorn that idea. Like, honestly, the way they tried it seems like the way that would make the most sense, and it didn't work. So I don't know. I feel like those types of ideas probably aren't going to work, and maybe they've like kind of realized that. But just knowing that, and knowing that like Disney's had this idea with several different parks in several different ways, and they finally gave it a shot and it didn't really work out. I don't think they'd be doing something like that anymore. Like, I don't think that's something that they'd be pursuing, which makes me wonder what they're going to do with this Galactic Starcruiser, because they put all that money and they have all that whole area back there to work with, and like what exactly would they do with it? So,
well, I mean, I disagree. I feel like they could make it into a normal hotel and not like the Starcruiser like cruise experience where you're basically like stuck in the hotel for 3 days.
Yeah.
I think if they themed it to Star Wars, like, and as a normal hotel, and charged, like Polynesian
deluxe
contemporary
prices,
prices,
yeah.
like, people will go
Yeah.
and stay there for sure.
Brian would probably go.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Knowing Brian, he'd probably want to go.
He wanted to go to the super expensive one. He was trying to figure out a way how to. So yeah, he definitely would. Right?
Yeah, I was trying to find a way to get down there before they closed it, but didn't happen.
So yeah, I mean, and that would make a lot of sense for them to just turn it into just a regular hotel. But yeah, I always find it interesting that like that's been a thing Disney's been trying to do for a while. They did it and it just didn't work. But
I mean, like, look at like all of the deluxe resort hotels and how popular they are. Like, they're not in the parks, but they're very close proximity. Like all the Magic Kingdom hotels, like the Epcot hotels, Disneyland, like you can literally walk out of the hotel into the park.
The Disneyland hotels in proximity are probably exactly the same. Like the Grand Californian does the same thing, where you can walk to a certain area and you don't take a shuttle, but you literally just like walk into California Adventure. So
Anywho, we're getting sidetracked.
We are very sidetracked right now.
Okay.
Who's
go ahead.
next?
Well, you went and Kylo went.
So Tammy.
I have no idea. I think I would go with Toy Story Mania. Actually. I don't know. I always just really enjoy that ride, especially when we take our family trips. We always have fun.
It's a ride and it's a game.
Right. And the competition is strong in our family. So,
Yeah, it's always something that we're always trying to win.
yeah.
I always like to bring up, do you remember when that used to be the most popular ride at Disney?
We talk about that all the time.
We do, yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great choice, though. I like that choice. We've done a lot there.
Did I beat you twice again on this last trip?
No, I won.
You won both times?
I think we only rode it once and I won.
What? No.
Christmas trip?
Really?
I won. Anywho.
I'm gonna ride it again.
I'm gonna sound disgusting and just say what Kylo said, but Tower of Terror would be my number one. And if I had a number two, it would be Midway Mania because I love that ride.
I thought you were gonna say Midway Mania.
But Tower of Terror is just so much fun.
And it's the funny thing is that it's iconic, and it's hard to, like Brian said, that like people don't know Twilight Zone anymore. It's like hard to think that way. And it's hard to think that people don't see the Tower of Terror as iconic. So, yeah, it's so weird to think that like people might want to get rid of that because it's like the epitome of Imagineering, where they came up with the idea. It wasn't a movie beforehand. They did make a movie, but like that was all part of the plan. Like they used IP, which was Twilight Zone, but I mean, it was all pretty much put together by Imagineers, and they had the idea, and they made up the story. So, yeah, I just love that ride.
Did you see that Molly was just like standing in line for it and pointing out hidden Mickeys and the cast member letter like into the actual lobby part and stuff?
Oh,
so she said to watch for that in one of their upcoming videos. So that'll be cool. Why doesn't that ever happen to me?
Right.
It's because everyone knows who Molly is.
Right.
She really is at that point, isn't she?
We got to go to our last park.
Yeah, our last park, Animal Kingdom. And Brian, I know you definitely have one for this park.
There's so many things I like about this park. It's hard to pick just one. I've been going back and forth on it. It might be Expedition Everest, though. I go back and forth between that and Safari.
I thought you were going to say Dino Land.
So
Triceratops spin.
Animal Kingdom is a hard one for me to pick too, and part of the reason that I'm not sure if I'm going to say Expedition Everest yet, but if I did, it would more so be for the queue than for the ride.
Oh God, that queue! I love that queue.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's too many things to think about. Like if I go back to Magic Kingdom, I probably should have said happily ever after.
I know
because I definitely would get on a plane.
But also in whatever it was when they shut down happily ever after, saying it was done forever.
I know.
I was going to
go
say,
running down there.
Did you get on a plane when
no,
they actually?
because I have 3 kids, so it's just not an option.
Well, that's maybe you need to you need to reevaluate, because those are the things that you have to think about. Like, is this ride that important that I will drop all my responsibilities?
Well, see, if we could go back in time to the 20-year-old me, and I could tell her, don't have 3 kids, because someday you're going to just want to get on a plane and go ride this ride. But it's too late for that now. So here we are. Okay, sorry. Expedition Everest. I interrupted you.
I've just always enjoyed that coaster, and it's definitely one that I would miss.
Mm-hmm.
Probably would be a bigger deal if they would fix the Yeti.
Yeah.
Hint, hint.
Never gonna happen.
Joe Rody, if you're listening to the podcast, we are telling you, I know you're retired. You are going to get out of retirement and fix the Yeti. It's going to happen.
He said that they would revisit that every so often. Like, it was actually more often than 6 months. Like, they were always looking at it. But it sounds like the only way to do it is like to take the cap off. But the other thing is that the rumor is that they cracked the foundation, and to fix it would require like rebuilding it. So those are rumors. I don't know, but like, it's a big deal.
I think with all the new stuff that they're talking about bringing to Animal Kingdom, I don't know that they're gonna come back to fix the Yeti.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna jump off of Brian and also say Expedition Everest. A big reason for that is also kind of nostalgia. I've been riding that roller coaster for a while. For a while, it was my favorite coaster on property. But yeah, there's the queue is amazing. Also, what's cool about it now is that it's not the most popular ride in the park. So sometimes you can just run through the queue, which like wasn't always the case with that ride. That ride used to be, and for a long time was the most popular ride in the park, and now it's not. And quite often you can find it at 15 minutes. So
yeah, I would agree with that. It's easier to get on there. They can really put people through that ride.
Mhm.
So, and you've always got that single rider option as well, which can make it go a little quicker. But could you imagine if that ride closed and everyone was getting crazy about it? How many hair ties would be at the top of that?
oh my god, all the hair ties. Yeah. I would bring hair ties to throw.
I can't even put a hair tie in my hair, but there's 10. So, 2 for Expedition Everest. What about you, Tammy?
It's so hard. Can I just pick Pandora? If they shut Pandora down and I couldn't look at the floating mountains anymore,
You can pick
I
that.
would get on
Sure.
a plane.
That one counts.
It's not a ride though.
No, it's an attraction.
We said attractions. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pandora at night.
I could see that.
It's a good pick.
When we went there after it first opened, like, I could not get her to stop taking pictures.
No, it's so cool at night.
When we were just there in December, we stayed in Pandora to like see it at night and see all the lights. And I never did look back at pictures, but I swear they've changed like the lighting, like, because they used to have like lighting up in the mountains and now it's more just like up lighting. Or maybe I'm just crazy, but I feel like they used to have things like glowing up there.
I was actually going to say the same thing, and I've got a sneaking suspicion from information that I've been given from other friends that they probably switched what type of black lights that they're using. The information is on the first day, the way Disney cleans things is they come through and they power wash everything. And the fixtures that they got said that they were IP rated, but the connectors were not, like the power connectors to everything. So the fixture itself was IP rated, but the power connector wasn't. So the cleaning crew came in and power washed everything, and the next day none of the fixtures worked. So I've got a sneaking suspicion that they fixed that, and then now within the past couple years swapped fixtures, and it's possible that the fixtures that they swapped are like just don't output as much, because I feel that same way when I walk through and things just seem a little less vibrant than
I
they
think
were
there's
before.
some fading going on.
I had seen that too, that the power washing was causing some of like the glow paint or whatever they used to fade a little bit. Yeah. First time we went, it hadn't been open for super long, had it?
No, we were there like a week after it opened.
Yeah. So like that's what's stuck in my head, I guess, because I think since we haven't been back there at night, only during the day.
That could be.
Because the kids went and saw it they went running back there so that they could see it at night, like all lit up. But we stayed up by like the Tree of Life with Mia because she was just like done at that point. So they went off on their own.
And remember that same trip? This is 2021 that we were there. Remember there were parts of the pathways that were blocked off that they were repainting.
Yep.
So I think there's some of that luster loss going on.
So I guess maybe that makes sense of why like I'm picturing it as so amazing, because it really was when we were there. Like all of the original lighting was probably still working and stuff.
I feel like it's hard. Like Animal Kingdom is not usually the most popular park. And like I feel like everything is like, it's just like good there. And it fits. I don't know. I feel like my unconventional answer, and it's not something that I like love, but it's tough to be a bug.
Why did I know that?
Well, start saving your money.
I know.
Okay. I'm very guilty of like not like actually researching this stuff, but in my head, I'm in denial. For one, if it's true, I'm in denial because I don't think that they made it clear that they're retheming it to Zootopia. Like it could be like a projection show on the Tree of Life.
I feel like they were kind of vague, and then people kind of assumed that that's what they were going to be doing with Zootopia.
That's how I took it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if they do change it, first of all, I've never seen Zootopia, so I might fly my butt down there to get my butt pinched by the bugs.
It's tough to be a bug for me. This is good that I'm married to you, because it's tough to be a bug is kind of a sleeper hit for me. That I actually do really enjoy that show. So.
Wait a minute. How have you not seen Zootopia? It's like such a good movie.
I do not know.
I was wondering if we're going to let that go or not.
No. The only person I know that doesn't like that movie is our daughter, and that's because she's weird.
Hey, you got to try everything, Kristen. And I'm telling you, you got to try this one.
I mean, I will thoroughly watch Zootopia if we ever make an Asian trip happen. Because isn't it all over, like, is it Shanghai or?
Well, they just opened the land in Shanghai. Yeah.
They have a land somewhere.
Yeah. So.
There you go.
We'll see.
I just go watch the movie. Like, they're coming out with a sequel.
I have to watch The Emperor's New Groove. I've never seen that.
Yeah, we're doing that this weekend. How have you? I watched it.
What?
You haven't.
I don't know.
I feel like at one point in my life, I was watching that movie every month.
Yeah, but you're younger than me. That was more of your generation, that movie.
I don't remember the whole thing. Like, I'm sure it's been
We're watching it tonight.
No. But I don't know that I remember the whole thing. It's fine. You had never, first of all, you had never seen Festival of the Lion King before me, nor had you done the Tiki Room.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, okay. I hadn't done the Tiki Room because I thought it was lame. But I didn't actually know anything about the Tiki Room. And then I finally went into the Tiki Room and was like, okay, no, this is pretty cool.
Had you even had a Dole Whip?
Yeah, I had a Dole Whip when I went to land in 2019. And I thought it was underwhelming. But that was just...
There are so many times that we're talking and I go, Mikhailo, there's this place called Disney World. It's in Florida. Have you ever been there?
I don't... What?
Disney World? Have you ever been to Disney World? It's this place in Florida. It's pretty cool.
I don't get it.
I don't think we've ever been.
No?
We like to go to Las Vegas.
Isn't that what we're talking about?
I almost said the Lion King show is my pick for Animal Kingdom. It's like right up there.
It's a great show. Those benches are like
Oh,
backbreakers.
Yeah.
My feet usually hurt enough by then that I don't care.
Mm.
It's nice to get off your feet at that point, but
Yeah.
I just love that show too. So that would be a tough one to lose.
And like, I mean, obviously like Flight of Passage is like great and amazing. And like, I feel like a one of a kind ride that I've ever ridden. Like the safari's great. But then like, I don't know, I feel like you could go somewhere else and do a safari. If you really had to.
I mean, there is a whole continent. But
that would be expensive, though.
Where else can you spend a 2-week safari in 20 minutes?
Just go to Magic Kingdom and go on the Jungle Cruise. It's the same animals.
Yeah. And they have the backside of water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny. Every so often, I feel like the drivers at Kilimanjaro Safari will crack jokes, and I'll be like, "What is this? Is this?"
Wrong ride.
Yeah, wrong ride.
We had a garage sale once, and somebody came to it, and she did the Disney College program, and she was a skipper. Do you remember this? For the Jungle Cruise, and like she was like, Brian's like, my daughter wants to go do the college program, and she's like, oh, I wouldn't let my kids go do that. Like we partied so hard and we got in so much trouble, and no, you shouldn't let her do that.
I've heard that from people, but I'm also of the thought that these kids need to go out and learn things on their own.
Just away.
But anyway, she said being a skipper was like amazing. Like, she said it was so fun.
Yeah.
I would think that you would get like bored saying the same jokes over and over, but I don't know.
I feel like if I could go back and like had like this strong love of Disney as what I do now, I'd probably try to do the college program, but I don't even think that they would take me being a nursing major. I don't know. I don't know how it works, I guess.
So they would, but basically what college program is getting students to come work for Disney, and then they will enroll you into classes that will count towards college credits. So it's like you could go do it and you could take college classes, but it's like whether or not it'll actually count towards your major is, I mean, debatable. But yeah, like you could, like anybody could go do it. It's just like very cookie cutter. Like these are the classes, and they're typically like taught by like Disney people. Like you're taking these classes, but really the thing that you're focusing on is like just working for Disney.
And is it like out of state tuition prices, or like is it like you're working for them, so like you get free tuition?
I don't know how any of that works.
I don't know either.
I did see somebody post that their kid went to do it and it cost them $1,800.
Oh,
but yet you get paid to work, and you're basically, I mean, it's like indentured slavery almost, because most of what you
holy
make,
moly.
It's basically them getting workers to come work.
Because most of what you make goes to your housing.
Yeah.
Anywho, another sidetrack. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I just want to work at Disney is all.
Yeah, you want to be a nurse though. Now that they can deliver babies.
I saw this meme on Facebook. One of my coworkers actually tagged me in it. It was like, you can deliver your baby in Magic Kingdom for $5,000.
Jeez.
No, thank you. Only if they had good drugs.
Well, this almost feels morbid to me, this episode, because I feel like we've been killing attractions throughout this entire episode. Like which ride will you kill to be able to go ride one last time? Like I just kind of feel that way, but we definitely want to hear from you guys what ride you would want to go ride one last time before it closed. So check us out on Instagram, Facebook. We are at Miles from Main Street, and find us on our website, www.milesfrommmainst.com.
But like we always say,
some live close,
but others don't.
So let's talk about it.
We'll see you next time on Miles from Main Street.